Hello, Knights fans. We're back with the final edition of the Knights Baseball Roundup for the 2017 season, as always with head coach Gary Puccio. Coach, obviously the season didn't end the way you would have liked it to, with the 10 straight losses there. Obviously, you don't want to reflect too much, but you've had a couple of days now to reflect and to kind of look back and assess how things went. What happened down the stretch, and what was the deciding things that really hurt your team?
We started the season 0-9, and we finished the season losing the last 10. So obviously that's not too good on either end, and we just seemed to never get going this year. I mean, I just felt the freshmen on the learning curve took a lot longer than expected. We had a couple of injuries, but there's no blame in that. The pitchers just didn't step up to what they should have done. Our defense, even though fielding percentage-wise we were okay, we seemed to make errors at key times, and a lot of that has to do with young kids. And then when Evan McDonald got hurt, that kind of hurt us behind the plate a lot for the last few games. So it's just a combination of things, and I think the biggest thing is being a very young team. We only had 6 older kids, so being a very young team kind of bit us a little bit this year. It took them a year to adjust to stuff, and I'm not even sure they've adjusted yet, to be honest. So.
Yeah, you had a pretty big disparity there between your senior leaders, some very accomplished players, specifically Matt McCann and Ryan Brennan and Logan Frady, and then obviously a lot of freshmen mixed in. Have you had other rosters like this in the past, or was this kind of a first-time thing with such like a high? It's like a senior or freshman, really, not a lot in between.
Back in 2012, the first time we made the playoffs, we had 16 freshmen and like only 7 or 8 older kids. But I think the difference then was there were no expectations. After you had finished last, or next to last, 7 years in a row or something, and so those freshmen, we jumped out to a 9-3 start the first 12 games, then just played 500 the rest of the way. We were in the playoffs, so I think we caught people by surprise early on, and I had Eric Snyder back then, which was like automatic, and it just everything fell into place nicely that season. And we still had Michael Eisen, Ryan Kresge, some really quality big time players. So this team equates to that team a lot. I think the difference was these freshmen came in with pressure, with expectations, and they really didn't. Because of that, you have to learn faster, and I thought they learned slower. Certain things we teach philosophy-wise, hitting-wise, and defensively and pitching, just didn't happen. And for whatever reason, it just never got going. So. I apologize for this season to our alumni and everything. It's just nowhere near what we expected, and hopefully next year we're going to do a better job.
Yeah, not to look too much ahead to next year already, but it is going to be in the forefront of your mind. You looked at the recruiting class. You had some talented freshmen this year. How nice will it be to kind of build a new mold and in the landscape, in the wake of now obviously losing some of those key record-holding guys, now you get to kind of start anew with a new class with the freshmen this year and a talented incoming class. Talk a little bit about that development and what to see there.
Yeah, except, again, that makes us young again. We only have 6 older kids, juniors and seniors combined next year. So we're going to be young again, and we're going to go through that freshman learning curve. And I think the difference is this recruiting class coming in is ranked 72nd in the country. Justin did a great job recruiting them. I think we have somewhere around 10 pitchers coming. So the depth of the pitching staff, which has been an issue for a while, hopefully gets corrected a little bit next year. And I know... not to plug any of the recruits off the top of my head, but I know Oliver Tavares just got named MVP out in Suffolk County for his league the other day, and he's one of the middle infields we got coming in. So we're very confident it's a good group. Whether, again, depending on how long it takes them to get on that learning curve, is going to determine what kind of start we have next year. And in fairness, I think I also bit off a lot with the schedule that we played St. Louis 3 times, St. John's 3 times. We had Bryant scheduled twice. It just multiplied that way too, where you're playing a lot of really good teams, and maybe the freshmen weren't really quite up to playing at that level yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always nice to get that under your belt, but again, you do penalize yourself when you play those better teams in the non-conference. Looking ahead, have you looked into the 2018 schedule at all? How does that stack up against this year's?
Yeah, we're playing 3 games with Delaware State, 4 games with UMBC early in the season. We're also going to Cary, North Carolina for a tournament, I think, with Iona and Army and a couple other schools. So hopefully, not that any games are easy, but hopefully that's a little easier than St. John's and St. Louis and some of the teams we played in the past. So maybe we can get off to a better start, because obviously the 0-9 start's the worst start we've had here, and it's like the worst start I had in my career. And we, even though we recovered for a little while, it just never really got going. So, yeah, next year's schedule hopefully is going to be a little bit easier.
Yeah, it did seem like a tale of a couple seasons mixed into one. You had the 0-9 start. As you mentioned, you got hot there for a while, and obviously you finished. You cooled down the stretch there. What would you attribute to the lack of consistency? Is it the youth, you think?
Yeah, and like kids have to build confidence in being successful. And I think what happened is, especially when there's so many games this year that we lost rather than the other team won. We had 3 games this year where we had 2 out, 2 strikes on the hitter with the lead in the ninth inning and lost all 3 times. Like, that's unheard of. And I think what happens is when that starts to happen, especially with your younger guys, they start losing their confidence. I mean, Matt McCann and Brennan and Logan and Danny, they've been around, so they've lived through it before, and they got that experience to say, hey, today doesn't affect tomorrow. But I think younger kids today affects tomorrow, and I think once we lost a couple of those games, especially the way we lost it, now it's the next kid saying, I don't want the ball hit to me. I don't want to be the guy that makes the error that costs us the game. So I think that definitely was part of it.
Yeah, you talked about the youth, and it's nice to have a lot of arms coming in. You mentioned possibility of up to 10 pitchers into the mix. How hard is it to mold that into a starting rotation and a bullpen when you're dealing with youth?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of unsureness next year, or uncertainty as far as who's going to be doing what. I just had a meeting with my staff to talk about next year and the kids coming in and stuff, and that's one of the things we were discussing is like, we've got at least 2 spots open in the starting rotation. We got spots open in the bullpen for pitching. We've got spots open in the infield, and also the outfield. So we got, based on the kids graduating and stuff, there's going to be opportunities for people, and we got to figure out who's going to go where. And there's no way to figure that out until all those kids get here, and those 10 pitchers that are new are competing with themselves and with the guys we got returning.
Well, it should make for an exciting camp, obviously, with all those opportunities. A lot of hungry players coming in, and they have a chance to earn some playing time. Recapping back to this season, you're losing some key players, obviously. Danny Demetros is one of the seniors, and then you got 3 guys that are all over the record books, Logan Frady, Matt McCann, Ryan Brennan. Brennan recently just became the all-time doubles leader with that last weekend, and he also joined McCann in the 200-hit club. Just looking back now at all their accomplishments over the 4 years, how much are you really going to miss those guys?
Yeah, wow. What else can you say about it? Logan's my winningest pitcher here at FDU, and in my career here, he won 15 games for us, and he had a bad year this year. So, you're looking at a kid that had a shot at being the all-time winningest pitcher. He's already the all-time innings pitched guy. He's got 200-something strikeouts. He was a workhorse for us, and, that's not easy to replace. And when you start talking about Ryan Brennan and Matt McCann, they're as good as I've had. Ryan Brennan may be the best overall player I've probably ever coached. And Matty, too. Matty as a shortstop has just been phenomenal, and great stolen bases, and they're not going to be easy to replace. And especially with freshmen, you can't expect them to play at the kind of level that Matt or Ryan played at. And they will be sorely. They're 2 of the greatest players in the history of the school, hands down. Logan's been one of the greatest pitchers in the history of the school. And, Danny was only here 2 years, but my God, he was a major factor. He might have been our most consistent pitcher all year this year. So, yeah, it's only 4 guys, but it's four awfully good guys to have to replace. So.
Yeah, definitely some big shoes to fill for these guys. Hopefully some of their experiences can be imparted on the younger guys going forward, and it'll rub off on them as they grow in maturity.
Yeah, hopefully, I'll be surprised if Matt isn't playing at the next level after this year. Same thing with Ryan. So you're talking about we got a couple of guys that are potential draft choices, and hopefully big time futures for them, and that can only help the program too, because as you get kids drafted and better things happen, more and more kids are going to want to play here. The fact that we have that big recruiting class coming in, this program's been good. We've made it where it was good. We hit a bump in the road this year, and it hurts because it was a bigger bump than we expected. But we're going to get it back on track, and we'll get them back to where they belong next year.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be great to see such a young, talented class coming in. I know Coach McKay did a really good job. We spoke with him last week, and the alumni constantly coming out to the Namoli Family Baseball Complex here and supporting this team. Talk a little bit about their contribution and how much the players really appreciate having the support.
Yeah, we have the Adopt a Player program. When I first came here, they had like 6 kids adopted. This year, we had every single kid had a sponsor, and the seniors all had 2 sponsors. So, it's really grown. The alumni could not have been better. That's why I feel very bad about the season we had for them, because they've been nothing but supportive. They've been 100% behind the program. And, knock on wood, we've given them some success the last 2 years, going to the conference championship, making the playoffs 3 out of the last 5 years. All those things help. But, unfortunately this year we took a step backwards, and it's my job to get us back on track, and hopefully we will get back on track, like you said, with that incoming class. And, as much as we're losing the guys we're losing, Bobby Romano led our team in home runs this year. He's back. Evan McDonald did a phenomenal job behind the plate. He's back. Owen, as a freshman, Owen Von Esslinger had a really nice year hitting-wise. He's back. All those things are going to help. Seltzer, Mike Veet. they've had some really good years. So we're looking forward to those guys getting better and better for next year, and hopefully that'll make the difference.
Great. Thanks for your time today, Coach.
Thanks for your time all year there, Mr. Jackson.
Yes. Great first season with you here hosting the Knights Baseball Roundup. Make sure you check out FDUKnights.com this week, as the Knights are bound to get some awards with the All-NEC Awards coming out. That will be out in the next few days. For all information about the summer with the FDU baseball team and the incoming class, make sure you head back to FDUKnights.com.